I receive emails from time to time asking for tips or ideas for writing Masonic papers. The brothers sending the emails sometimes seem a bit uncertain as to what is normally expected from a paper. I'll put down some thoughts and my ideas of good and useful Masonic papers in today's world of Freemasonry. Let me try to explain with a short story. When I was in high school, we had two school newspapers. One paper was the official school publication, which was routinely judged in various competitions for high school publications. Truthfully, it rarely won anything, but also truthfully, it was dry. Strict journalistic standards were followed by this newspaper. These standards were felt necessary to qualify them for the various contests. However, strict journalistic standards do not always mean an enjoyable reading experience. The other newspaper was more of an underground newspaper, and while it was sanctioned and approved by the school, it was not considered the official paper. It tried to publish what the students wanted to read in a down-to-earth style of writing. The official newspaper was published professionally on tabloid-sized glossy paper. It was a far more appealing publication to the eye. The underground paper was printed, meaning that it was typed out on a typewriter, on regular letter-sized paper, and run off on a mimeograph machine in the school office. The official paper published news of the school, and the unofficial newspaper published news, cartoons, a what's happening section, and even a classified section. The official newspaper also had a far larger budget than the underground one, but as far as sales were concerned, it was no contest. The lowly underground newspaper consistently won by a landslide. I learned a lot by studying these two papers. One gave the students what they wanted, the other simply tried to win awards. The point in that story is that interesting reading material is what's going to be read and appreciated. Give the readers what they want, but it must be pointed out that the wants and desires of the readers can vary from publication to publication. If it is your goal to submit something to a particular publication, you need to learn a bit about the readership and publishing requirements. What is interesting is subjective and does change from place to place. There are also other considerations at play when a paper is accepted or not accepted for publication. Most all of the stories published in that underground high school newspaper would have been rejected by the official school publication, no matter how interesting they were written. If someone wanted to write something for the official paper, they had to structure what they wrote according to the rules of the paper. Before submitting something to a publication, read several issues first. Learn the style and type of papers that they are publishing. A popular publication is popular because what is being printed in the pages is liked by the readers of that publication. If you want your work published by them, then you must write something that is liked by their readership. If, however, a publication exists to fill a desired slot, accomplish a goal, or is dedicated to a particular subject, then you must submit papers that fill those needs. A well-written piece on the York Rite might well be published by any Masonic publication, but the first logical choice is to submit such a paper to a York Rite publication. Likewise, a scholarly Masonic publication might not be the best choice to send a light, feel-good paper on an event in a craft lodge. Again, read the publication, know the audience. Also, one bit of advice is that all publications expect that if you write something, you are the one to support it. If you state something is a fact, then the burden is on you to cite the proper source for your information. A quick way for your paper to be turned down is for you to offer unsupported statements with the reader expected to prove or disprove what you have written. Many smaller Masonic publications, but not all, are more lenient with styles and are simply looking for interesting papers to fill their pages. In such publications, the clever Masonic writer can shine. I suggest papers of general interest, such as symbolic, esoteric, or new member-oriented. Keep in your mind that unless you are submitting a paper to a publication by your own jurisdiction, each jurisdiction has its own rules and customs. If you offer advice on, say, how something is done, you may be 100% correct for your jurisdiction, but 100% incorrect for the jurisdiction you are writing. Again, know who you are submitting to and their readers. There is another point that I believe is very important, and that is writing for your audience and not at them. It is the difference between using writing as a tool of communication to pass information on to others, or as a tool to impress whoever reads what you write. One style is to help others, the other is to help you. It is possible to tailor what we write to accomplish a particular goal. If we know how to do this, we can be effective in accomplishing different goals with our message. If we simply put words on paper, then we might just end up with words on paper. Let me explain. When I was in college, I signed up to take a particular English class. My friends said that I would enjoy this class as the teacher was outstanding. They told me that he had 3 PhDs in English and truly knew how to teach a class. That information was good news. On the first day of class, I arrived a little early and watched everyone as they entered the classroom. I never met the English teacher before and knew nothing about him except that he was very good at what he did. I then saw what I believed to be an older student in blue jeans and a faded polo shirt walk in and up to the front of the class. He had longish hair and a beard. This was in the mid-70s, but he looked more like a 1960s hippie. He put some papers down on the instructor's desk, smiled, and then said, "How y'all doing?" Then he introduced himself. This was our instructor, a hippie with 3 PhDs. He turned out to be one of the best instructors I ever had. The hippie PhD is the one who taught me that language is a tool to be used in communications. It is to take ideas, thoughts, and opinions from one person and give them to another. Just like with any tool, we can use it for a particular goal, or we can misuse it. The professor taught me that someone with outstanding language skills should not be confused with someone who has good judgment with language. For example, an attorney might have wonderful language skills, perfect for any courtroom, but if he gives a talk to a class of 3rd graders and uses the same language that he uses in a court, then he has wasted everyone's time. He would be saying valid words, but he would not be understood. He will have failed to communicate because he spoke at them, but he did not consider them. We must know our audience and select our words to accommodate those listening to us or reading what we write. And there is something else that I must mention. Once you start writing, you will find that some will say that everything you write is wonderful, and others will find fault with every word you put on paper. You must write in a way that pleases you. Either you will be successful with your style or you won't, but you must write honestly and in a manner you like. You must objectively look at your work and decide for yourself if you believe it is of value. You can't let anything slide out of carelessness or be impossibly critical of what you write. If you are writing history, then you must properly cite what you write. You must check for typos and proof your paper. You must also realize that some typos will simply be invisible until they are in print. We are all human. I often write something and then set it aside for a few days unread. When I go back to it, I can see it with fresh eyes. I rewrite all the time. I am sometimes frustrated at allowing something to be published without some particular change. I also sometimes surprise myself and realize that something I wrote, and which I was initially lukewarm about, turned out a lot better than I realized. If it turns out that after a few days I don't like it at all, I toss it. But remember, being honest with yourself does not mean that you should only find fault with your work. It's okay to realize that something you did was good. Honesty works both ways. Have fun with what you write. Write something you would enjoy reading. And please don't edit your paper by looking for bigger words than the ones that you used. The highly educated will know what you are doing, and others will only be put off by odd phrasings. But most of all, write. Do it and don't stop. Thank you for watching. If you like the videos, please hit the like button and subscribe to us. Please support our efforts through Patreon. It is through your support that we are able to continue our work. Just follow the link in the description. See you next time.